On the show in Wheelspin, we drive the new Mercedes, the C-Class. In Wheelspin, we have a close look at the Volvo V60 as Volvo India considers bringing it into India. And on the track, we bring you the action from the third round of the JK Tyre National Racing Championship. What I have with me today is the latest from Mercedes-Benz India. In fact, Mercedes has had quite a busy year, having launched 10 models and variants through the year. And this, of course, is the last one for this year. This is the car which was known as the baby Mercedes, the C-Class, an immensely popular car globally, and in India itself, it has sold over 20,000 units. And this is the latest iteration of the C-Class. This new C-Class is the 5th generation C-Class that Mercedes is launching after its initial global launch in 1993. The C at that time was one of the smallest Mercedes made, and it was their first attempt to make a compact car, especially for the emerging markets. In India, it was the C-Class which added the numbers for the company, as many buyers found it a car which was the right size for the crowded Indian conditions, as well as the most affordable. But with the introduction of this new C, things might have changed drastically for Mercedes, as it looks like a car which has evolved over time to become more attractive, both in terms of looks as well as features. The first C-Class variant that Mercedes has launched is this one, the C200 with the petrol engine. And that takes me by a bit of surprise, because I would have expected the diesel variant to come in at the same time, because India is a big diesel market. But have no fears, Mercedes says they will launch it sometimes next year. And as for the pricing, Mercedes has gone ahead with their policy of premium pricing, which means price it a little bit more than the competition. The C-Class here costs 40.9 lakhs, and now it's time for us to find out if it's worth all that money. This new C-Class has not only grown wider and longer, but also with time it has shed over 100 kgs to become a car which is more aerodynamic with a low coefficient of drag at 0.27 CD. And this would further add to the fuel efficiency. This new C certainly looks inspired by the bigger S-Class, with its rounded corners, flowing bodyline and a sloping C-pillar ending in a compact boot. The design elements are new, with attention-grabbing large LED headlamps, a sporty radiator grille with the 3-pointed stars sitting in the center, and as you walk towards the rear, you notice the twin exhaust highlighted with chrome garnish to round off that sporty touch. And all this sits on a new platform on a wheelbase which is grown by 90 mm to create more interior space. The biggest change that you will find in this new C-Class is when you step inside. The interiors have completely transformed itself. Not only it's a lot more spacious, but it looks a lot more elegant and classy. It has all the creature comforts you can think of, and some frills like a panoramic sunroof here, a Burmester sound system, a nice large display, and of course quality leather and a touch of wood paneling here. And the steering is an all leather affair, hand stitched, feels very good with multifunction buttons on it. And the instrumentation looks very nice and sporty. But the Mercedes idiosyncrasies still continue. If you look at the center console here, you still find a small analog clock. It's become round, but it's still there. And what's doing there, I really don't know, because you have the time coming up on the instrumentation. Must be part of the design theme, I guess. And then you have the display here, with which I agree in terms of the practicality and the functionality it has. But the way Mercedes puts it, in fact, in terms of fixing it, I don't really quite like, because it looks like an add-on. It should be integrated somewhere here into the center console. But then that's Mercedes' way of doing it. Overall, I must say the interiors is what will put this car apart from all its competition. It looks really good, as I said, feels good, feels very comfortable, and I think it's really worth that extra money that Mercedes is charging you. And in addition to this, what you will find new is a full-blown Garmin navigation system with over 200 cities mapped in with voice guidance, something which is sure to come in very handy. Plus it comes with features like ambient light with 3 options which you can change according to your mood. If you are planning to spend some time on the rear seat of this new C-Class, then you will find that the long wheelbase has certainly made life much more comfortable for you. There's plenty of leg room here, and even if you happen to be somebody who's 6 feet plus, you will still have enough room. Plus, you have individual air conditioning vents, you have a window curtain here, and individual cup holders, plus plenty of space to keep your knickknacks in. On top of that, you get a sunroof also. So things are not really bad, and my guess is if you spend time here, you will find this an enjoyable experience. The longer wheelbase also means more space for the boot, and in this case it has become all of 480 litres to make sure you can pack in enough for the trip to the airport or that long out-of-town drive. The C200 petrol that I'm driving is powered by a 2-litre turbocharged engine which churns out over 180 brake horsepower. This is what the spec sheet will tell you. But what the spec sheet doesn't tell you is that how quiet and how refined this engine is. In fact, when you fire the engine, you really have to look at the tachometer to see that the engine is running. It's absolutely quiet, there are no vibrations, and even when you press her hard and accelerate really hard, you don't feel a thing. This is certainly one of the quietest engines that I have driven, and power delivery is really on call. You blip the throttle and the car surges forward. Okay, it's not very fast, it does about 0 to 100 in 7.4 seconds, which will not put it into the supercar league, but then it compensates by giving you a fuel efficiency of over 14 kilometers to a litre. And for a 2-litre engine, a car weighing this much, that's not bad. In terms of ride and handling, this car is quite sorted out. It's not sprung so hard that you will find all the bumps filtering into the cabin, but at the same time it's not so soft that you really can't throw her into a corner. I quite like the way she handles. In fact, this is the way family sedans should handle. The engine is mated to a 7-speed automatic gearbox, which again, in true Mercedes tradition, is a pleasure to drive. And to give this sporty touch, Mercedes has also provided paddle shifts in this C-Class, which makes gear changing even faster. The new C-Class also comes with multiple driver modes, and you can choose between the comfort and the economy for the regular drive and the sport and the sport plus for an exciting fast-paced drive on the racetrack. And you can also choose the individual mode which will adapt it to your driving style. In terms of safety, this rates rather high with 7 airbags and active safety features like ABS, EBD and stability control, plus hill assist which would prevent the car from rolling back, and lane assist as well. Well, I feel that the new C might be priced a bit high, but in terms of value, it certainly isn't lacking. In fact, it's a complete luxury car replete with all the features that you may desire. And with its roomy interiors and a well-poised drive, gives you the feel that you might be driving something which is one segment above. So overall, the new C-Class, I feel, has moved the benchmark up in every department that I can think of. Not only she has become a much bigger car, but she looks also much more stylish. And in terms of the interiors, this is where this new C-Class becomes a complete winner. It's not only much more spacious and a lot more comfortable, but it has got all the frills that you can think of, or rather you can't think of in a car in this segment, because she has some features which are absolutely class-leading. So what do you get in this new C-Class? A car which drives very well, which is spacious, which is comfortable, and it looks good too. So if you are considering buying a car in this segment, have a close look at this one, because this new C-Class is not only the latest, but in my opinion also the very best. If this car is looking a bit familiar to you, then let me tell you it should. But let me also tell you, you are wrong. This is not the Volvo S60 that you are mistaking it to be. This is the V60 and this is yet to be launched in India. How is it different from the S60? Let me show you. Volvo is present in India with the V40 as a basic crossover, plus the sedans like the S60 and the S80, and the SUVs like XC60 and the XC90. But this V60 will certainly make their lineup seem more complete as it fills in the gap between a mid-size estate and an SUV. The V60 looks well-made, stylish, and what is a big plus is that it is also roomy with plenty of space for both passengers and luggage, and this for the Indian market is the right prescription. Well, this is where the V60 is different from the S60. While the S60 is a sedan, the V60 here is a hatchback and an estate, and this car is meant to give you a lot of practicality. The V60 will come with a 2-liter diesel engine, 4-cylinder as well as a 5-cylinder one. The 4-cylinder delivers 181 PS and chances are this is what you're going to get in India. But it also comes with an all-wheel drive, and that's a 5-cylinder diesel engine which also churns out 181 PS. But in fact, in terms of torque, it churns out about 20 Nm more, and the total torque output for the 5-cylinder is 420 Nm. As compared to that, the diesel 4-cylinder unit churns out about 400 Nm, which actually should be good enough for our driving conditions. What I really like about this engine is that it's really quiet, it's smooth and refined, and the power delivery is very linear on this. It's in fact quite a pleasure to drive this car, coupled with an automatic transmission, a nice powerful engine. The suspension on this car is set up really nicely, so the ride is very good. It stays planted at high speeds and it's a pleasure even if you corner it sometimes hard. I think you are going to really like the drive of this car once you get in behind the wheel. And on top of that, the seating position is comfortable and it has all the amenities you need in a car to make your ride comfortable and enjoyable. The V60 also has a standard all-wheel drive, which makes it quite versatile, especially if the driving conditions are not at its best. Also, the V60 is built with the Volvo concept of being safe, and consequently it offers an array of advanced safety features like dual-stage airbags for driver and passenger along with side airbags, and active safety features like ABS, traction control, adaptive cruise control, driver alert control and lane departure warning. Once you get inside this V60, you will realize that this is as well made as any other Volvo really. And there's very little difference between this one and the S60. But it comes with all the frills that you might need in a well-made estate. This V60 here also follows Volvo's same design philosophy or built around you. Consequently, you have this central console here, which is mounted facing you. The central console here has all the controls that you might need to access quickly, like the air conditioning controls, the stereo system and a large display here which is very easy to read. The gear shifter here looks quite nice with a chrome surround, and so do the buttons with chromes as well. In fact, this looks quite nice and it feels very comfortable with the leather wrapped seats here, and it holds you very well when you're cornering fast. In fact, this is one car you'd be very happy to own and use on an everyday basis because it has everything you require in a car. Plenty of space, lots of features, and of course, a solid build quality. Volvo might not immediately launch this car in India, but they are certainly looking at doing this, and if this happens, it will be sometimes around middle of next year. And if that happens, Volvo will not only add to the range, but you as a consumer is going to get a nice, good-looking car which is really well made, and it gives you all the options in terms of comforts, and it drives well also. And the biggest thing is it will give you that extra space that you are looking for. In fact, the Indian market is a bit starved of a good estate, and this V60 here might just fill in that gap.
Well, it remains to be seen whether Volvo India will take the plunge and bring this to the Indian market. But then the challenge for them will be to price it right. And if they do manage to do that, then this rather nascent mid-size crossover segment will get a boost and offer consumers a very attractive choice. The longest running racing championship in India is the JK Tyre National Racing Championship, and this year, after completing the first 2 rounds in Coimbatore, made its way to the Budh International Circuit in Greater Noida for the penultimate 3rd round. And as in the first 2 rounds, things remained exciting with some close racing between the competitors in 3 different classes. But again, it was the Polo R Cup for the Volkswagen Polos which saw very close action and was keenly contested. As the light turned green for the first Polo R Cup race, 18 drivers on the grid made a beeline for the first corner. And it saw close action as places were swapped. And the lead changed hands many times during the first few laps. Polo Cup is one of the most hotly contested races in the championship, with drivers driving near identical machines, which are basically race-prepared versions of the stock Polo which we see on the roads. These machines have been given additional safety features like a full roll cage, slick tires for the race, and of course tuned to be driven hard. Polo Cup provides young and aspiring drivers an opportunity to hone their racing skills before graduating to full-fledged racing careers in more powerful and fast-paced cars. And Volkswagen, introducing the Polo Cup some years back, has really changed the racing scene in India, with a lot of upcoming drivers getting an opportunity to spend quality time behind the wheels of a racing car. As the drivers weaved in and out of the world-class Budh circuit, which isn't easy to navigate even for seasoned drivers, it was Lee Keshav who went into the lead in this 8-lap race, and it was Lee who eventually finished as the winner, clocking a time of 20.03 seconds with the fastest lap of 2.30 minutes. He was followed by the driver from Poland, Wojciech Dest in 2nd place and Kartik Tharani in 3rd place. What separated the driver was split seconds as they raced to the finish line, bringing to an end an action-packed race 1 of the Polo R Cup. The JK Tyre National Racing Championship comprises of 3 categories of racing. In the open wheels category, there is the Formula LGB cars, which are the smallest, and the BMW Formula, which are the fastest machines. And in the sedan class, it is the Polo R Cup, which comprises of Volkswagen Polo cars. The next race was the fastest race of the day, comprising of the BMW Formula cars, which are capable of speeds of over 200 kilometers on the straights. And this is a category where many seasoned drivers fight it out before graduating to racing even more powerful cars. The BMW Formula is powered by a 2-liter BMW engine which basically comes out of a motorcycle, but it does manage to churn out 140 brake horsepower and looks like proper open-wheel racing cars with a well-balanced chassis which ensures that they corner very well. In the first race of round 3, it was Akhil Ravindra who had dominated and won the race. But now in race 2, it was the turn of Vishnu Prasad to ensure that he makes no mistakes and fights off the challenge. Consequently, it was the charged up Vishnu who took the checkered finally with a time of 22 minutes, followed by Rahul Nurani of Mumbai in second place, who was 14 seconds behind Vishnu. And the podium was completed by the winner of the first race, Akhil Ravindra, who finished in third place in this race. The third race was for the LGB Formula cars, and it is this class which might be the smallest in terms of engine size and slowest in terms of speed. But it is here that young drivers get their first taste of open-wheel racing. So it's no surprise that it makes for an action-packed race with plenty of close driving and overtaking. This was an 8-lap race and on the twisty 5.1-kilometer Butt circuit, and after the few opening laps, it was the seasoned Daljit TS racing for Team Dark Dawn who went into the lead and managed to hold it, although he was initially challenged by Vishnu Prasad, the young driver who is racing in both the open-wheel categories in the championship as well as the karting championship in an attempt to win it all. And so far, he is also a title contender in all these 3 categories as well. Vishnu in this race eventually finished on the podium in second place, and he was followed in the third place by Rahul Rangaswamy to complete the podium for the LGB Race 3 in the third round of the JK Tyre National Racing Championship.